Have you ever watched someone you love be destroyed by the two people they trusted most in the world? This is the story of Amara Okonkwo, a young woman from Ogidi, Anambra State, whose best friend and husband betrayed her in the cruelest way imaginable. And when the entire village turned against her, telling her to accept her shame and move on quietly, she made a choice that would change everything. This is not just a story about betrayal. It is a story about a woman who refused to break, even when breaking seemed like the only option left. If you love stories where the patient are rewarded and the proud fall hard, stay with me until the end. You will want to hear how justice found its way to Amara's doorstep. And if stories like this speak to your heart, you are welcome here at Heritage Folktales Stories. The story begins on a warm March afternoon in 2019. Amara Okonkwo is 7 months pregnant, moving carefully around the small compound she shares with her husband Patrick. Her belly is round and heavy. Her back aches with every step, but she is determined to prepare Patrick's favorite soup. He has been distant lately, coming home late, barely speaking to her, and she hopes that a good meal and her patience will bring back the warmth they once shared. She is not alone in the kitchen. Kate Nwankwo, her best friend since secondary school, is there helping her pound yam and stir the pot. Kate has always been like a sister to Amara, the one she shares everything with. Her fears, her dreams, her struggles with marriage. Amara trusts her completely. "You are too good to this man," Kate says, wiping sweat from her forehead. 7 months pregnant and you are still cooking like this. He should be the one taking care of you. Amara smiles, tired but hopeful. "That is what wives do, Kate. We take care of our homes." Kate shakes her head, and something flickers across her face that Amara does not recognize. Something cold, something hungry. Not all men deserve that kind of care. Amara dismisses the comment. Kate has always been more outspoken, more modern in her thinking. Amara is the traditional one, raised by her mother to be patient, submissive, to build her home with wisdom and endurance. So she ignores the strange edge in Kate's voice and continues preparing the meal. That evening, Patrick comes home late. Again. He barely touches the food Amara spent hours preparing. He says he is tired, that work at his transportation business is stressful, that Amara asks too many questions. She wants to push for answers, to demand the truth she feels slipping through her fingers, but her mother's voice echoes in her mind. A good wife does not nag. Give him space, pray about it. So Amara gives him space. She prays, and she tries to silence the growing unease in her chest. 2 weeks pass. Amara's belly grows heavier, her movements slower. And then one morning, everything shatters. Mama Chidi, an elderly woman who sells provisions down the road, pulls Amara aside at the market. Her face is tight with pity and barely contained anger. "My daughter," Mama Chidi says quietly, gripping Amara's arm. "I do not want to be the one to tell you this, but someone must. Your husband and Kate, people are seeing them together in Onitsha, at restaurants, at hotels. They are not hiding it anymore." The words hit Amara like a physical blow. Her vision blurs. Her hands instinctively move to protect her belly. "That cannot be true, Mama Chidi. Kate is my friend. She would never do that to me." Mama Chidi's eyes fill with sadness. "Open your eyes, child. Everyone in this village knows. They have been laughing at you for weeks." Amara confronts Patrick that night. Her hands shake, her voice breaks, but she forces the words out. "Are you sleeping with Kate?" Patrick does not even try to lie convincingly. He looks at his pregnant wife, at the life they created together growing inside her, and he shrugs. "Amara, you have changed. You are always tired, always complaining about your body. Kate understands me in ways you do not anymore." Amara stares at him, unable to process what she is hearing. I am carrying your child. Our child. I know, Patrick says, his voice cold and detached. But I cannot help how I feel. What Kate and I have is real. What you and I had is gone. Amara wants to scream. She wants to fight. But the next morning, her mother arrives at the compound, summoned by Patrick's family. Amara is made to sit down with her mother-in-law, and 2 village elders. They tell her to calm down, to think of the baby, to stop causing trouble in the community. These things happen in marriage, her mother-in-law says, waving her hand dismissively. Men wonder. It does not mean the marriage is over. You are his wife. You are carrying his child. Kate is just a distraction. She means nothing. But Kate is not nothing. Within 3 weeks, Patrick moves her into their home, into the room right next to where Amara sleeps. He tells Amara and anyone who asks that Kate is there to help with housework since Amara is too pregnant to manage everything. Amara's family tells her to endure it. For peace, they say, for the sake of your unborn child. So Amara endures. She watches her best friend wear her clothes, cook in her kitchen, laugh with her husband in ways Amara has not heard him laugh in months. The community begins to gossip openly. At the market, women whisper and giggle when Amara passes. At church, people stare with pity or judgment. Some say Amara must have done something terrible to drive her husband into another woman's arms. Others say she is foolish for staying in the marriage. The humiliation becomes unbearable. But what choice does Amara have? She is 7 months pregnant with no job, no savings of her own, and a family that has made it clear they expect her to accept this situation quietly. When Amara goes into labor on a rainy night in May, Patrick is not there. He is with Kate at her family's house in Onitsha. Amara calls Mama Chidi, the only person who has shown her consistent kindness through this nightmare. Mama Chidi takes Amara to the hospital in her son's old car, holding her hand, praying over her as the contractions intensify. Amara gives birth to her daughter alone. No husband, no best friend. Just Mama Chidi standing beside her, whispering prayers and words of encouragement. She names the baby Ngozi, which means blessing, because even in the midst of betrayal and pain, this child is innocent and pure. 3 weeks after Ngozi is born, Patrick marries Kate in a quiet, traditional ceremony. He does not officially divorce Amara, but he makes his choice clear. He moves out of their compound completely and rents a new flat for Kate in Onitsha. He sends small amounts of money for Ngozi irregularly, whenever he remembers or feels guilty. The rest of his income he pours into Kate's expensive tastes. The village no longer whispers about Amara. They mock her openly. Women at the market say she was not woman enough to keep her husband interested. Young girls use her as a cautionary tale about what happens when a wife lets herself go during pregnancy. Even Amara's own mother tells her, maybe if you had been more attentive, more attractive, this would not have happened. But Mama Chidi becomes Amara's anchor in the storm. On the darkest nights when Ngozi cries endlessly and Amara feels like she is drowning in shame and exhaustion, Mama Chidi sits with her. Amara, the older woman says, her voice steady and sure, the same mouths that mock you today will praise you tomorrow, but you must survive the season first. You must choose to build, not to break. Do you hear me? Amara nods, tears streaming down her face, and holds onto those words like a drowning woman holds onto driftwood. The first year after Patrick leaves is pure survival. Amara sells the little jewelry she owns to pay rent. She starts a small provisions business from her single room, buying goods wholesale at Onitsha main market and reselling them to neighbors. Ngozi is colicky, crying through the nights, and Amara is exhausted, heartbroken and publicly humiliated. But she does not break. She cannot afford to. By the second year, something shifts. Amara's small business begins to grow. She adds detergents, toiletries, and household items to her inventory. She wakes at 4 a.m. every morning, straps Ngozi to her back with a wrapper, and heads to the market. She smiles at the women who mocked her. She'd greet the elders who told her to accept her shame quietly. She holds her head high, even though her heart is still healing. By the third year, Amara opens a small shop on the main road. She hires a young girl from the neighborhood to help her mind the shop while she goes to restock. Ngozi starts nursery school, a bright, healthy child who is loved fiercely by her mother. Patrick rarely visits. When he does appear, he looks uncomfortable, guilty, rushing through the visit. Amara hears through community gossip that Kate is spending Patrick's money as fast as he earns it. Designer bags from Lagos, expensive Brazilian hair, and weekend trips to Abuja. By the fourth year, Amara is no longer just surviving. She is building something real. She expands her shop to include a wholesale section, supplying other small traders in neighboring communities. Her income triples. She moves herself and Ngozi to a better compound, one with a proper fence, running water, and a small garden where Ngozi can play safely. Amara is not wealthy, but she is stable. She is standing firmly on her own feet, and something profound shifts inside her. The pain begins to fade. The bitterness begins to lose its grip. She realizes she is no longer waiting for Patrick to come back or hoping for an apology from Kate. She does not want either of them back in her life. By the fifth year, Amara has something she never expected to find again. Peace. Real, deep, unshakable peace. She sleeps soundly at night. She laughs freely with Ngozi. She makes plans for the future, plans that do not include anyone's approval, but her own. Mama Chidi watches Amara's transformation with deep satisfaction. "You see?" the older woman says one evening as they sit outside Amara's shop. "You chose to build instead of breaking. Now look at you. Look at what you have created." It is around this time that new rumors begin circulating through Ogidi. Whispers at first, then growing louder. Kate is seeing another man, a wealthy businessman from Newi who drives a Lexus Jeep. She is spending weekends at hotels in Enugu. Patrick suspects something, but refuses to believe the woman he destroyed his marriage for could be betraying him the same way. Amara hears these rumors at the market, in church, from customers who come to her shop eager to share the latest gossip, and she feels nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, no desire to say, "I told you so." Just a distant, almost detached acknowledgement that what goes around has begun to come around. In the sixth year, everything comes crashing down for Patrick and Kate. Patrick comes home to the flat he rents for Kate unexpectedly one Saturday afternoon and finds her in their bed with the businessman from Newi. There is a confrontation, shouting, scandal. Within hours, the entire community knows every detail. Kate does not apologize or beg for forgiveness. She tells Patrick coldly that he was never enough for her, that she only stayed because of his money, and now she has found someone better, someone who can give her the life she truly deserves. The same words Patrick once used to justify leaving Amara. The same coldness, the same cruelty, the same betrayal coming full circle. Patrick comes to Amara's shop one evening in November. He looks broken, aged beyond his years, shoulders bent under the weight of shame. Ngozi is in the back room doing her homework. Patrick stands at the counter, unable to meet Amara's eyes. "Amara," he says quietly, "I heard your business is doing very well." "It is," Amara replies, her voice calm and steady. "What can I help you with, Patrick?" He shifts uncomfortably, hands gripping the edge of the counter. "I wanted to see Ngozi, and I wanted to tell you something. I am sorry for everything I did to you. I know that does not change anything, but I need you to hear it." Amara looks at this man she once loved desperately. This man who destroyed her and inadvertently rebuilt her into someone stronger. Patrick, I forgave you a long time ago. Not because you deserved forgiveness, but because I refused to carry that weight anymore. You made your choice. Kate made hers. Now you both have to live with the consequences. His eyes fill with tears. She did to me exactly what I did to you. Exactly. And now I finally understand what I put you through. The pain, the humiliation. Understanding does not undo the damage, Amara says gently but firmly. But it is a start. You can see Nosy, but only if you are ready to be a real father to her, not just when it is convenient for you or when you are feeling guilty. He nods, his face crumbling, and goes to see his daughter. Ngozi is polite but distant with him. She does not know this man well. He is a stranger who shares her blood but not her daily life, not her struggles, not her victories. After Patrick leaves, Mama Chidi comes to sit with Amara outside the shop as the evening settles over Ogidi. How do you feel? Mama Chidi asks, watching Amara's face carefully. Amara is quiet for a moment, considering the question honestly. Then she smiles, a genuine smile that reaches her eyes. Free, Mama. I feel completely free. The community that once mocked Amara now speaks her name with respect. The women who laughed when Patrick left now bring their daughters to learn business from her. She endured, they say at the market. She built something from nothing. That is a woman of strength. Even Amara's mother, who once told her to accept her shame quietly, now brags about her daughter's success to anyone who will listen. Kate disappears from Ogidi. Amara hears through the grapevine that she moved to Lagos with her businessman, but the relationship did not last long. The man apparently had a wife in Niue who showed up and caused a scene. Amara does not follow the story closely. It no longer concerns her. Kate's life, her choices, her consequences, they are no longer connected to Amara's peace. Patrick struggles to rebuild his life, humbled and alone. His transportation business suffers because people no longer trust him the way they once did. His reputation in the community is damaged beyond repair. Amara does not celebrate his downfall or take pleasure in his suffering. She simply continues building her own life, focused on her daughter and her future. Ngozi is now 7 years old, thriving in primary school. She is smart, confident, and kind-hearted. She does not carry the shame of her father's choices or the burden of her mother's pain. She carries the strength of her mother's resilience, the example of a woman who chose to build when everything was falling apart. And that, more than anything else, is Amara's greatest victory. On Sundays, Amara and Ngozi go to church together, walking hand in hand. People greet them warmly. Children run up to play with Ngozi. Amara's shop is closed on Sundays, a boundary she set to rest and spend time with her daughter. After church, they visit Mama Chidi, bringing her food and sitting with her, listening to her stories and wisdom. You know what your mistake was? Mama Chidi tells Amara one Sunday afternoon as they watch Ngozi play in the compound. You thought the betrayal was the end of your story, but it was only the beginning. The real story was always about what you would do next. Amara nods, understanding the truth in those words more deeply now than she ever could have 6 years ago. The betrayal was brutal. The abandonment was crushing. The public humiliation was almost unbearable. But Amara made a choice in the midst of all that pain. She chose to survive. She chose to build. She chose forgiveness not as a gift to those who hurt her, but as a release for herself. And in doing so, she discovered a strength she never knew she possessed. Kate and Patrick's karma was not Amara's doing. It was simply the natural consequence of seeds they planted themselves. Amara did not need to seek revenge or wish them harm. Life has a way of bringing people face to face with the consequences of their own choices. All Amara had to do was focus on her own path, her own growth, her own peace. And now, 6 years later, Amara stands in a place she never imagined possible during those dark early days. She is respected in her community. She is financially stable. She is emotionally free. And most importantly, she is raising a daughter who will grow up knowing that a woman's worth is not determined by whether a man stays or leaves, but by the strength and character she cultivates within herself. What lesson stood out to you in this story? Was it that betrayal often plants seeds that grow back on those who plant them, or that the strength to rebuild after devastation is the truest form of victory? Tell us in the comments what spoke to your heart, and tell us where you are watching from. We love knowing this community stretches across cities, states, and nations. If stories like this remind you that patience and character always outlast shortcuts and betrayal, then you are in the right place. Subscribe to Heritage Folktales Stories for more African stories where truth always finds its voice and the underestimated always rise. We will be here, telling the stories that matter, the ones that remind you that justice may delay, but it never disappears. Thank you for watching.